In a world of challenges and uncertainties, hope shines as a beacon, guiding us through the dark times and showing us the way to brighter days ahead. But what exactly is hope? Where does it come from? And how does it shape our lives? I'm Annie Bennett, and I'd love you to join me on this journey as I explore the meaning of hope. I'll delve into philosophical perspectives, personal stories, and scientific insights to understand the power of this elusive emotion. So whether you're seeking inspiration, comfort, or simply a deeper understanding of the human spirit, let's embark on this exploration together and discover the extraordinary power of hope. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Chronicles of Hope podcast with me, Annie Bennett. Oh, I've got a very interesting guest with me today. I first met this lady last year at the Chronicles of Hope Gala with our lovely friend Julie Bale. And I'm really interested to know exactly what this lady does, because I know she's involved in music quite a lot. So it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Maddie Cordes, who is in charge of Maddie for Music, to our podcast. Hello, Maddie.
Hello, Annie. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. It's lovely to have you here. Now, I really want to talk. We're sort of really going to get into the music, I think, today. I think that's what we're going to be mainly talking about.
Definitely my thing.
Can you tell us a little bit of your story, how you came to do what you do, and a little bit about you, please?
Of course, yeah. So a little bit about how I sort of started Maddie for Music. I actually started it 15 years ago, and I've had a business career as a company secretary and governance professional for 42 years or something like that. But about 15 years ago, I was living abroad, doing a role in the Cayman Islands, and my family were happy to come because, you know, they saw the picture of the beach, and so they said, yeah, let's do that for 3 years. So I naturally, you know, helping our own sons with their music practice. They were having lessons and clarinet and violin and piano, singing and things like that. Would put on summer workshops and holiday workshops for my friends and their children. It was just something that was within me to do, you know, and I felt I had the skills to do it, and so I did it. And there was one of those eureka moments when one of the mums just was sort of sitting beside me. She said, "Why don't you become a music teacher? You really should become a music teacher." And I thought, you know, at the time it didn't really hit home. And then when I got back from living abroad, I thought, yes, I feel that that's a calling for me, and I'm going to retrain. But being realistic, I've always been the main breadwinner. It wasn't a case of giving up the fairly senior role in business and not being able to pay the mortgage. So instead of retraining, I did look at retraining as a secondary music teacher, but I felt my talents and skills and my interests would lie more in doing my own thing. So I did a music access course, started the PGCE to do secondary music, decided that wasn't quite for me, and set up Maddie for Music 15 years ago. And the first thing that I really wanted to do was in the area we live, which is in Deal, in Dover in East Kent. There are a lot of deprived areas where people didn't have the opportunity to have lessons like I did, which I totally took for granted when I was a youngster. And I thought, you know, I'll give up the violin at 15. I'm not interested, even though I'd progressed quite well in the grades. But I saw for myself from activities that we did locally in the community that many people had that potential to be good musicians and even to do it as a career, but they didn't have those opportunities that I had. So I set up a youth choir in the Dover area and took about 10 young people, different ages, literally from sort of, you know, 8 to early 20s, to perform in various different locations that were more interesting than on the school stage, you know, like a lighthouse or a talent contest and things. So that's how I got started with it. And a bit about me, I'm married to Gary for 42 years as well. I've got 2 sons in their late 20s, and as I mentioned, we're living in Deal in Kent now, but I'm an Essex girl, actually.
Okay, yeah.
But my mum's come to live down in Deal as well, because she's visited over the years and loves it too.
Yeah, it's a nice part of the world, isn't it, Deal?
It is, and everyone seems to have a connection with it for some reason. Whenever I mention Deal, I go, "Oh yes, I know Deal. Or I've got relatives in Deal. I like to visit, or I've got a chalet in Deal." Yeah.
But I think it's amazing what you do, because having been a primary teacher for so long, and
although I'm not officially music trained, I haven't even got an O level in it, but obviously I've done the singing and done lots of
Yeah.
music. I've been able to do a lot in primary schools.
Mm.
But it is unfortunately sort of pushed to one side. It's the sort of the treat that we'll have, it's not the center of the curriculum. Not that perhaps it should be the center, but it's not seen as important because a lot of primary teachers, of course, they shy away from it. They're frightened of it. They don't want to do it.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
the actual value of it is people don't realize, do they? The value of learning an instrument, learning music. Um, it's it just helps everything else, reading, writing, maths, everything, doesn't it? Do you find that you find
Yes.
that yeah,
Definitely, and I found it patchy really. So in some schools locally to here, some not, but some I have come across two or three that have got school choirs.
mm,
I've collaborated with them and brought them into my own shows and concerts, and especially if you have a head or members of the senior leadership team who are musicians themselves, that
yeah,
helps because they do value it, as you said. And I agree that it brings so many other skills and areas for development to play in an ensemble with others. So not
yeah,
just technical skills, but soft skills like working in a team,
yeah,
collaborating, taking turns, all these things.
yeah.
Realizing that people have different abilities and being able to be inclusive and cope with that too.
Yeah, yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, when I've worked with, Tiny's 4-year-olds, and the whole, clapping in rhythm and, as you say, taking turns is really valuable lessons, isn't it? It can really enhance all the other areas of learning that are there. So yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, that it tends to get, as you said, by senior management that don't see the importance of it and have never had a music education, they will bypass it and see it as not important. But it's such a shame,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are some glimmers of hope.
Good.
I
Yes.
hope
Yes.
today. So, as I say, locally, yeah, when I went into a secondary school and started a placement, and that's when I realised that that particular school wasn't really supporting
Mm.
music provision, and unfortunately, it was run by the sixth form was run by the PE department, and they actually laughed at my son when he performed one time on stage, and he's remembered that ever after.
Yeah.
Because he's a really good singer.
Mm.
But yeah, there's those sort of issues. But I have seen the opposite of that. There is hope where
Mm.
there are other people that do value it.
Mm.
And one of the things I've been thinking about in the last year is possibly um, providing some sort of online training course. So I
Mm.
did, I think it was called Recurring Revenue Challenge, which all
Mm.
came from meeting Julie's Diva group and other people within that group, for the vocal training. And I thought, why not do a training course about how to teach a song? Because
Mm.
actually, there's quite a few books out there how to run a choir, how to set up a choir. But what you were saying there, I picked up on it, that some primary school teachers are absolutely petrified. Well, I would
Mm.
be if they asked me to teach football. I
Yeah.
don't have a clue how to do
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. I
Whereas
used to
I
shy
can go
away
into
from PE. Yeah.
primary school and I can run
Mm.
go into a classroom of 30 and I can do a music lesson almost in my head,
Oh,
because I've done
absolutely. Yeah. Me
it
too.
years. But
Mm.
if so I totally get that, if it's a PE teacher, she's very happy to do that, would be really scared of doing what we do,
Mm.
as our bread and butter, and it's water off a duck's back because we've
Yeah.
done it so many times, what can go wrong and all that.
Yeah.
So I've got this idea, which I'm parking it for now because I've got lots of other projects going on. But in the autumn, I want to think about that and to try to do this one to many, where
Yeah.
it's very difficult for people to meet you face to face to have that training. But there are so many tips when I look at a score of a song that I could share about how I would approach that
Yeah.
teaching that song. And I haven't seen anything similar. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that would be a unique offering that might be useful for people
Yeah.
who
Oh,
are
absolutely.
asked to repeat a song
Yeah.
in a primary school, even though they don't want to.
Yeah. I think half the problem is, and this is something that our lovely friend Julie Bale is we're absolutely like-minded about this, is that people are frightened to sing because they're frightened to be told, be quiet, you can't sing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a lot of the problem that is in primary schools. teachers say, "Oh, I'm not singing in front." Oh no, whereas you get a class of 4-year-olds and even younger. My daughter's a nursery nurse, and that they don't think twice about singing. A
And my
little
parents
song.
are that age, are
Yeah,
they? It's natural. It's a natural
yeah,
thing to do.
absolutely. But the whole idea that anyone can sing, doesn't matter, just open your mouth, that whatever comes out, doesn't matter, you know, because it is such a good feeling, isn't it, when you sing? It's really physical and it's really good for your well-being as well. Do you find that with the groups that you work with, that there's a real positive effect on the with the music?
Yes, definitely. They often come away from my choir sessions. They sort of come up to me at the end and go, "Oh, Maddie, I've had a really horrible day. And I might not even engage with that particular person. They might be at the
Mm,
back, and I know that
mm,
I know them all. So I've got about 25 in the choir, so I know all their names and
mm.
know them well. But they'll come up to me and say, "Oh, I've had this awful day, and coming to choir was just what I needed. Now I feel uplifted, and I was able to put aside those worries for an hour and a half,
Yeah.
and I'm going home feeling more that I can cope more and more positively." And going back to what you were saying about this thing about people that are told not to that they can't
Mm.
sing, shouldn't sing, and they've stopped singing. I've introduced some beating the blues workshops in January and February. I did one last year, but this time I thought, as I've given up full-time work, so I've got a bit more time, I'll do a series. And so I've done them all through January, every Friday afternoon, and through February. But it has surprised me and sort of upset me really that so many people that engage with me about it. I mean, I've got a nice little group and people come and go and there's a core group. But some people, they say, "You really wouldn't want to hear me." They
Oh,
use those words.
yeah.
"Oh, I think, my husband's, puts his hands over his ears. Everyone laughs at me in the family." But the reason they're telling me this is because they are interested in
Yeah.
singing. Otherwise, they just wouldn't engage with me. So
Yeah.
the hope thing, I think,
Yeah.
can come from trying to get them over that barrier through chatting with them and maybe making them feel reassured. Like you say, open your mouth, it doesn't matter what
Yeah.
comes out. And it's a small group, 6 to 12 people who, welcome new people in. But
Mm.
it's some of the people that have come, I know them quite well personally. When I see them come in to start singing, their whole body tenses up and, "Oh,
Mm.
I haven't done this since school," or, "I've never done this." And by the end of the hour, they're a bit more relaxed and smiling.
Yeah.
But it sometimes takes a few workshops and for them to feel comfortable with the people that they're singing in front of or with.
Mm.
Um, but I feel that's my mission. It's my
Yeah.
passion, and that's a result for me. If they go away and they're feeling a bit more comfortable than they were when they came in, because they literally come through the door and they go, "Oh, is this the singing?" And everything, and they're
Yeah.
petrified, like you said, and I can't really understand it because obviously that's never happened to me. Oh,
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
different. That's why I joined Julie's program.
Yeah.
But it'd be the same if when I first went to a cardio, what's it called now? Cardio tennis class at my local
Oh
leisure
my
centre. I
word.
thought, "Oh, they're all going to be good at tennis. I haven't done it for
Yeah.
45 years." So it's the same feeling. I can sort of
Yeah.
understand that feeling.
Yeah.
It would, luckily for me, music it's not that's not a problem. But I've developed that confidence over the years of
Mm.
the tradition
Mm.
and being reassured that I've got some skills and I can do some of it.
Yeah, absolutely. But it does, I mean, you talk about confidence, people in a choir, and I've seen it myself, people singing in a group with other people, it really does help with the confidence, doesn't it? I mean, do you work with, a wide range of age range, for example? Do you find that?
Yeah, most of my choir members are older, so I set the choir up. It's 14 years in September, the
Mm.
Landmark Show Choir, and that is typically older people. Quite a few people retire to our area, and it's an activity that they do in
Mm.
later life. When they've got time because they've got a job. There's
Yeah,
quite a few people that have unfortunately, widowed, but it's a new era for them, new
yeah,
life, makes new activity, makes new friends through doing new activities. But I do have some younger ones, and they get mothered a bit,
yeah,
but,
yeah,
and they like that, they
yeah.
sort of like being looked after. And then I do teach singing, piano and violin. So I've got some teenage singers,
Hmm.
who were told they couldn't sing or be laughed at school and trying to build their confidence.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I like it to be intergenerational, and
Mm.
I'm relaunching the choir in a couple of weeks on a different evening, because when I was working full time, I used to do it on a Friday early evening, and that's kept the number, because Friday early evening, lots of people have family commitments. They don't necessarily, but it suited me because I could guarantee I could be there. So I'm changing it to a Tuesday evening, and then I'm going to have a new daytime branch on Wednesday afternoons from the middle of March. So some of the older people in the choir said, I don't want to come out late on a Tuesday night for but I would like to come to the daytime. So I'm going to have 2 branches. So the idea, I want to try and get younger people and a mix of ages, and get out there more to other people in the community, perhaps mums and dads that can come before school, pick up, and that sort of thing. People that are working from home, people that work in the shops and restaurants locally, and cafes and things that can take an hour out for lunch. So I'm trying to make it as inclusive as possible, and bring in a wider audience from the local community.
And do all your choirs, do you find performance opportunities for all of them, or are they just sort of come and sing for fun? How do you work them?
Yeah, and because I'm quite keen on performing, at least standing in front of other people performing. Because I go back to the solo thing, that I'm more confident now doing Julie's course, but it's not something that comes that easily to me. Yes, I enjoy the fact that the local Chamber of Commerce say, "Oh, can you come and sing Christmas songs while we're dressing the Christmas trees for the high street?" Because I feel it's going to add to their event, and it's quite like it. They get a free lunch and they go to this big warehouse where they're doing all it's a Christmas vibe. So I do look for, and now I've been doing it 14 years, get a lot of invites for those sort of gigs, and most of them, I'd say 9 out of 10 people enjoy doing those. They don't do every one I put songs. I do 20 a year or something, but depending on their availability, there's 1 or 2 who say, "Oh, no, I don't think I'm too scared to perform." They come round normally, like you said, in a group. Once there's a group of singers, going back to the hope thing, the sort of singing in harmony and in the same rhythm together, I think really does give hope, because to those people who I do have quite a few people that come to the choir that even now are nervous about singing. They've got their heads down in their books, and they find it quite difficult to perform, but they still sign up and they go along. And I'm always saying, come on, let's smile. The audience need to see you smile. That's hard for them, but I tend to see improvement over time working with others in a team, because we're all going for a common goal.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, when you work, because I've worked with theatre companies and opera groups and all sorts of things, and when you've got we're doing this in April, or we're doing this in September, and here's the music, and every week we're going to work on it and improve it, and there's that sort of not only learning the music and singing with each other, but that sort of excitement of, it's only 3 weeks to go, and what are we wearing, and all this kind of stuff. It makes it into a real event, and this sense of accomplishment afterwards. I mean, you must get that, when you've done an event, your singers must be absolutely delighted with themselves.
Yes, they are. Yeah, I mean, occasionally you get a gig which, for whatever reason, like you get rained on or something. We did one at the Tower of London. It was so bad that we all got really cold. I was the only one that was allowed an umbrella. But it was muddy, everything. And then, but the most fun part of it was going back on the coach, because there were about 30 of us, listening to Heart Christmas and sing along. You can have sort of gigs that go well or don't go as well, but parts of them are good, and other parts are a bit old. But that's adversity, isn't it? So again, the team working together and all having a laugh afterwards. Oh, we got wet, and all our music got wet, and even now they look at their music and go, "Do you remember that was from the Tower of London where it all got wet?"
But it's a common experience, isn't it? So it's that kind of thing. Even though it wasn't, it wasn't the best experience in terms of the weather. The collegiate experience must have, it's priceless, isn't it? You can't buy that kind of thing, can you?
No, it definitely gives people a lift, and they, like you said, they feel achieved. And obviously with some people have been with me for all that time, the 14 years as a core group, or joined 10 years ago or whatever, and the certain songs that we know so well that I just say, well, let's sing I Can See Clearly Now, and it's just ingrained in their muscle memory, and they can do it off by heart and stuff, and that makes them feel good as well, that it's part of their lives, that they've been with me so long. And it's for me as well, the thought of stopping it, I'm thinking, well, I'm trying to sort of expand it and make sure that it still is viable and thriving, into the future.
Yeah. I mean, you said a couple of things that you hope to do in the future. What kind of things are you wanting your choirs to do? Have you got any events coming up, or any, have you got your sights on anything, Maddie?
Yeah, so I mean, actually, Maddie for Music, to go back a bit, do three things. I run two choirs, which is the Landmark Show Choir and a choir at a hospital, Deal Hospital, which is relatively recent. It's about 3 years I've been doing that, and it's paid for by the trust that runs the Kent Community Health Trust, and that's for staff at the hospital or any local staff. So we've got some members from the surgeries, local GP surgeries. That's taken 3 years to get the message out. Finally, a couple of people have just joined, and then and staff volunteers, because there's quite a few volunteers in the garden, in the tea room, and things like that in the hospital. The sensory garden, that was lovely design, and then people who've retired from the NHS. We've got people who've done 50 years done. That's how they feel they've done 50 years. For the thing. So and then we provide care home entertainment is the second thing we do. So I've got about 15 different acts, mainly singers, but a few musicians and even some dancers who go into care homes on a pay basis locally, and I put them in there. I've got one going in this afternoon who a man, mainly they're females, there's a few men, but I think care homes like men from time to time, because there aren't quite so many men.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, you've got to have a balance, haven't you?
Yeah, that's it. And then the third thing is the teaching, private teaching, which I do. So for the choir, we've got a few interesting gigs coming up. We've got a choir visiting from Westmoreland. I don't even know where that is exactly. Maidstone.
I used to teach near there, so I know.
Right.
Well,
it's near Maidstone, I think.
That's right. It is. Yeah.
Kent is such a massive county. When people say to me, "Oh, I live in Kent," I go, "Yeah, all right, yeah," because normally it's about 2 hours drive. Tunbridge Wells or Sevenoaks from me is 2 hours.
Yeah,
and really difficult to get to. But anyway, I've got a good choir leader network that I'm part of, and one of the leaders, this particular choir, said, "Oh, we fancy coming down to Deal for the day and having fish and chips on the beach in March," but I'm not sure if that's going to be the weather's going to be good enough.
Quite nice out today, so you never know.
Yeah, so we're going to do that in the church hall, but I've booked a local church which I've not used before, and we're going to do a joint. I came up with the idea of doing a workshop which we can invite the public to as well, and we're learning 3 songs. So my choir and Catherine's choir, the Westmoreland Community Choir, there's loads of them, something like 90 of them, but about 50 are coming. I've got about 20 coming. But we're going to learn these 3 songs. We're learning them in rehearsal. Then we're going to perform them and teach them to any members of the public that come as a one-off sing opportunity. And then those people can then join us for the concert. So we're doing a joint concert in the evening, and the people that have come to the workshop can sing those 3 songs that they've learned.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's the main thing we're doing in March. And then in April, we've just been invited to a sort of doggy type event, which is with a few competitions and things in a nice cafe that's opened up recently. It's a little away from here. It's near Dover. And they fancy having a bit of entertainment. I can do some doggy-themed songs.
Wonderful.
Lots of the singers like dogs. They don't all. So, but those who can come to that and bring their dogs if they want to. And then I think we've got a wedding in May. We often do weddings, and the Deal Town Hall is a venue, and it's got an undercroft, so people come downstairs from the wedding and then they get their favourite song. There's going to be 20 people singing to them.
Lovely. That's lovely.
Choosing their favourite song, we learn. And then in July, the Deal Music Festival is every year. It's quite a prestigious festival. It's they get a lot of good, sort of global acts in different classical musicians and contemporary musicians, and we are part of the community event. So we're this time going to be singing for a dance crew, which I'm actually part of. I'm not a dancer, but I go to a circle dance class, which is really easy steps. And it's been agreed that we go to choose songs. I'm going to choose songs with the teacher, Suzanne, of the circle dance class, do four dances or so, and the choir are going to sing while we dance. I'm not sure whether I'm going to lead it or I'm going to dance, really.
Wait and see, Maddie.
I've got a colleague, I must mention her, Lois Morton, who has just had a baby and was a member of the choir, but she's busy looking after her 1-year-old Rosemary. She's a strong singer and a primary school teacher. She's given that up. She's doing tutoring online, and she's joined me to help me run the choirs, because now I'm not working full time. I want to be able to go away or if someone says come sing at Tenerife, I want to be able to go. So she's covering for me, and she's helping me run the hospital.
Because you've just been away, haven't you? I think, haven't you been somewhere?
Well, I go on little trips with my son, who has nothing to do with music, but he's BA cabin crew, and so I went to Dubai for a few days.
Oh, nice.
On standby, so you're not guaranteed of getting on the plane. It's only this seat.
Oh, it's exciting though, isn't it? It's
I just like
spontaneously
I'm treating myself now, because I've been chained to a laptop, for 42 years really, and sitting very sedentary. So I've introduced some exercise as well, and I feel like I've been released. It's sort of freedom now that I can work part time and
how fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, it's just been fabulous listening and finding out about what you do. If you're listening and you're in the Deal area and that's something you fancy doing, I'll ask Maddie for all her details and we'll put them in the show notes. And you can have a look and get in contact with Maddie if that's something you'd like to do. But
I do travel, as you say. So I do workshops in London and elsewhere. So if anyone wants a workshop, that not everybody's going to be in the East Kent area. I know it's a bit sort of out on the limb, So I love travelling, and with the choir, I sing with a couple of choirs as well. And I'm going to York soon, and in May, I think it is. So I'd love to come, and I've actually been doing freebies, as part of my outreach work. So if someone's got an event, a corporate event, or a mental health charity, or that we support those sort of charities, and they want a singing for wellbeing workshop, I'm really happy to do that. And so people contact me, because I like to spread the word. I'm evangelical about spreading the word, singing.
Oh, absolutely.
Hope, I think working with others, and
we're both definitely of that mindset, aren't they? That singing is
it's a great tool to sort of to help people with their mental health and their well-being through singing, and being with other people, relieving isolation. There's so many benefits of singing, not just physical.
Absolutely. Oh, wonderful. Oh, it's been so lovely talking to you, Maddie. Now, I always ask my guests, one final question here. I always ask my guests if they have a message of hope for my listeners. What might your message be, Maddie?
I think it's got to be around community, really, because like I was saying, if I wasn't doing this, I would really miss the community that I've built. And I know that my choir members and my students would miss being part of that community if it suddenly disappears. So I think that building communities and maintaining them and continuing to make sure that they thrive is I've written down, it's the antidote to despair.
No, you're right.
Because we can all be at home and get quite down. Like everyone, I get down at times, or where things are going wrong, you get frustrated or angry, or things that happen in your life on a day-to-day basis. But when we go to choir, or I'm preparing for it, or I'm reviewing it afterwards, and working, doing a gig, I think this is why I do it, and and it lifts me, and I can put aside my day-to-day worries for that time when I'm with that community.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The community support just helps you to hold that hope, doesn't it, that everything's going to be fine, everything will be fine. I love that. I love that.
I know that if I've got problems, because I know my people quite well, I've got some new people, which is great, so there's always new people joining, and obviously some people move away or whatever, so there's a turnover, a slight turnover at times. But I know that I can be honest with them, so I can say, I did say, I think last week, so what sort of day have you had? Mine was 5 out of 10, you know. And I was like, who's had a 7 out of 10? Who's had a 9? And I was like, so let's celebrate, you know, but let's everybody else, let's bring us all up, you know, through singing together. Let's improve. I said, now what's your day been like? Oh, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it's an 8 now, yeah. But it does, music does that, particularly when you're in a choir and if you're doing harmonies, it must do something to your brain because it makes you feel really like that, doesn't it? You sort of goosebumps and hairs standing, you know, on the back of your neck and things like that. It's just
you feel
fabulous feeling.
When if you've got, you know, like I said, I was singing a couple of choirs. I'm singing an a cappella choir that was last night, and I think it was 5 parts in that choir. So you know, you're looking at other people who sing a different part, and you've got to play your part. So it's back to this community. You can't just be a passenger. You know, you've got to sort of with your
active role in it, aren't you? Like the jigsaw, all the pieces happening together.
To make it work, and you know, we're helping each other. We're, you know, rehearsing outside the choir as well with all us newbies who don't know some of the songs in the back catalogue. You know, that feels good as well. That's, you know, about supporting each other to sort of get up to speed so that we feel we can do a good job for the rest of the choir. You know? So nice. There's so many opportunities through a singing community to have hope, I think, and those people that didn't have a voice, whether it's in a care home or as a singing student, can have a voice, you know, through singing. And,
absolutely.
You know, I think I'll give you my last example was my husband Gary went into Headway, which is a local charity for brain injuries, and they have a day centre, so people recovering from strokes, etc. And this chap, he started singing "You'll Never Walk Alone," which you did, didn't you? Well, we did it in concert.
We did it at the concert.
So he started singing that, and this chap hadn't spoken for 6 weeks, and he still can't. He may speak now, but this was a couple of years ago. But he started singing every word. As you know, there's a part of the brain that, you know, is still there and often isn't damaged, which, you know, he obviously remembered the words. And he was so excited, you know, to hear himself. He was smiling and the staff were crying. You know, we were feeling really welling up because, you know, it was just showing that how singing can bring hope like that, and he would be able to go back to, or they'd be able to talk to his wife or whatever and say, you know, that yes, he did sing. He couldn't necessarily speak, but he could sing.
How fantastic. Well, I think that's a perfect time to end, Maddie, because we can't beat that. I don't think we can beat that. It's been so lovely chatting with you today. Thank you so much. As I say, we'll put all your details in the show notes about how to contact you. If you want to contact Maddie, it'll all be there. So thank you so much, Maddie Cordes, for joining me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you for listening to the Chronicles of Hope podcast with me, Annie Bennett. I hope you found inspiration, comfort, or perhaps even a newfound perspective around the meaning of hope. To find out more about the aims of the Chronicles of Hope organisation, please visit thechroniclesofhope.org, where you will find links to our social media accounts and where you will be able to make a much needed and appreciated donation. Thank you.